NC State starts football practice today. Today should be a holiday. It was the first day for the Panthers to wear full pads. Duke's practicing for the first time. NC State's practicing for the first time. UNC practiced yesterday and now again today. Should be a holiday.
I can smell the grills already.
Well, tailgating? Now we're talking.
Oh, man.
Now we're talking.
Can't wait for it.
The interesting part is NC State has all of these transfers, particularly on offense, right? I talk less about the defense because that's just respect to Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator. I think you could give Tony Gibson a hodgepodge of players and he'll turn them into a formidable defense. So we talk about the offense a lot for NC State. They have all these transfers. They have a quarterback expected to play, transfer. Running back expected to play, transfer. Tight end expected to play, transfer. A couple wide receivers expected to play, transfers. A couple offensive linemen expected to play, transfers. They have all these transfers. So my eyes don't actually go towards any one player on the offense. My eyes go towards Robert Anae, the offensive coordinator. He's the one that's going to have to focal point this thing. He's the one that's going to have to build chemistry. But there's something even additional about Robert Anae's task that I want to focus in on. But first, let's hear from Dave Doran. He spoke to us at ACC Kickoff last week right here on this program, talked about the chemistry and needing to find that on offense.
That is the challenge we have in front of us, and that's what the winter and spring and summer have been about, is getting that, as you mentioned, 11-man football, as we call it, 11 guys playing as one. And so that's fall camp. We're going to find out where we're at, what we need to work on, but we have a lot of tools there. We have a lot of competition there. And we have a lot of motivated, experienced players there. And so it's going to be fun to see it all come together.
As an offensive coordinator, Robert Anae's reputation, right? The part of his history that gets everybody so excited is his ability to customize his playbook to take advantage of the skill set of his players. Right? He's the one that had success with Schaefer as his quarterback at Syracuse, who was kind of a little bit more mobile than you think, but a pocket passer. At Virginia, he had success with Brennan Armstrong almost exclusively as a passer, and with Bryce Perkins, who ran for over 1,000 yards. Right? He's molding his playbook into the ability of his players. That's awesome. I think that's how you should coach in college, right? You go recruit the best players possible to play each position, then you figure out an offense that works, rather than pigeonholing yourself in recruiting to go get a specific type of player that fits your offense who might not even exist, or if they do, might want to go to some other school. So Robert Anae probably, and when I say probably, I mean it's nearly 100%, has a plan for how he wants to customize his playbook to take advantage of all the new players this year. For how he wants to use Casey Concepcion, which he learned about last year. From how he wants to use Noah Rogers, their 5-star transfer. From what he thinks Grayson McCall does best, or Jordan Waters. But he has to be willing to pivot. Because nothing shows you what a player does best than seeing it on the field, talking to that player, interacting with them on the practice field, watching them in scrimmages, watching them in 11-on-11, watching them in 7-on-7, and figuring it out. Film simply can't tell the whole story. Watching them in someone else's offense can't tell the whole story of what these players do best. He has to be willing to change his plan, and he has to know what he has in his bag of tricks that can take advantage of those things.
So that's the thing that stood out to me in your conversation that you had with head coach Dave Doran at ACC Kickoff. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but he said the offense is still going to primarily run through Casey Concepcion. I guess it's just one of those things where if it's not broke, don't fix it.
He might be the best wide receiver in
He's
the country.
He's the best wide receiver,
yeah.
yes, so might as well. But he said that's the beauty that they have now with all these transfers is that teams, it's going to be a lot harder for teams to scout against them. And even then, when it was still Casey Concepcion just last year, teams had a hard time, or teams struggled to stop them and to stop NC State's offense. So that's just what makes it so difficult this year for their opponents, is that Robert Anae has 8 different weapons that he can throw the ball to this year.
I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It kind of stinks. I'll use an example from when I was playing. We played against, I think it was William and Mary, and it may have been JMU. I forget which one it was. But they had Arthur Motes, who went on to be an edge rusher in the NFL for a bunch of years. And I think he was number 56. I'm just picking one out of the random, right? And every time we got to the line of scrimmage against them, and we had to do it in practice, right? There was the guy wearing like the different colored jersey on the scout team.
Yeah.
You'd have to walk up and go 56, just so everybody knew where he was, right? He was that good, and that meant, all right, the offensive line knows we got to block him, right? The quarterback knows if he's singled up, you better get rid of the ball quickly. You better know where he is on your blind side. He was that good. I imagine towards the end of last year, the NC State offense heard something similar, where every time they lined up, you heard the defense going, 10's over here, 10's over here. Which is, by the way, good move by the opposing teams. Like they should. There were games where I was like, either Casey Concepcion's going to make a big play or NC State's not going to make any big plays. Like that was, so it was a good move. This year, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. But bringing back to what I was saying originally, Robert Anae is going to have to make sure he's putting the other guys in the positions they can make big plays in, right? Find out what Noah Rogers does well. Maybe, like, there are wide receivers that make big plays because they catch it over the top of the defense. There are wide receivers that make big plays because they catch it in the quick game, catch it short, and they're great yak guys, yards after the catch guys. There are running backs that are one cut. There are running backs that are wildly patient. There are running backs that like to get on the edge in space. Figure out what these guys do best and then craft your entire offense around that. And that's how you make it so teams can't tee off on Casey Concepcion, right? Because they saw Grayson McCall complete, 20 passes to guys that weren't Casey Concepcion out of 22 attempts for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sure, Casey Concepcion also had his 100 and a touchdown and 50 rushing, but when you have that other production, because Robert Anae's offense is doing what it's supposed to be doing, it makes them that much more dangerous.
Simply put, this NC State offense should have no problem scoring more than 20 points. And the reason why 20 is the magic number, Graham, is because last year NC State 0-3 in games scoring fewer than 20 points, 9-0 when they scored that many or more.
I have a feeling the offense will hear that stat a few times, right? Hey, we just need to get to 20. For us, it was always 24. Our coach had some stat that with our defensive coordinator, if we scored 24 points, we're going to win like 87% of our games or something.
So as someone who did play college football, you really do buy into that number that you score.
Heck yeah. It'll probably be a little bit higher this year just because Peyton Wilson isn't around. But yeah, you know those things, right? The offense, because you need little like things you can latch onto to not get discouraged, right? The other team scores 10 points in the first quarter. It's good for the offense to know, no, we knew we were going to have to score to win the game, right? We're down 10-0, but we came in with the goal of scoring 28 points, right? 28 still wins the game. Let's not get discouraged. Those things are all important. And Robert Anae is going to be the one tasked with scoring those points, pulling the strings, pushing the buttons, whatever you want to call it. And it starts today in practice. Learn as much as you can. Gather information.